Louis Vuitton just unveiled their new bags for spring-summer 2025 yesterday in Paris on the runway. Today, I'm going to give you the inside scoop on what bags we can expect to see in stores next year and which bags unfortunately did not make the cut. Hey there, this is Alula West Lux. Thank you so much for joining me yet again in another video. Or if you're new here, a very warm welcome to you. I'm so glad to have you here today. We are talking all about the Louis Vuitton Women's Spring-Summer 2025 collection. This was just shown on the runway yesterday at the Louvre in Paris. Today's video is not going to be delving into the ready-to-wear or the shoes too much. I will briefly mention it. We're mainly going to be focusing on the bags in this show. And I have received some preliminary information about which bags will be making their ways into stores and unfortunately which bags will be runway only pieces. Of course, this is all very new, so anything is subject to change between now and March or April when we are expecting to see this collection in stores, but this will give you an idea of what you can expect. As I said before, I'm not going to be talking a lot about the ready-to-wear or the shoes in this video. I was not a fan of the ready-to-wear. I did not understand what was going on with these capri leggings with the stripes on them. I was also not a fan of the one pant leg look. I have no idea who thought that was a good idea, but I was not a fan of it. Overall, I thought the show looked a little chaotic and thrown together. During the finale, when we saw all the looks on the runway at once, it really didn't seem very coherent to me. Like I said, it was very chaotic. There was a lot going on, and for me personally, it was just like a sensory overload to see all of these looks together. I was also not a huge fan of the shoes. We saw a ton of these shoes that had an LV trunk handle as the shoe straps. Maybe it seemed like a cool idea in theory, but in reality, when you saw the final product, for me, it really didn't work. I also was not a fan of the feathery shoes that we saw. Again, these are runway shoes. These are not shoes that people are typically going to be buying and wearing out in public, but even just for a runway shoe, I really wasn't a huge fan of the shoes in this collection either. The one thing I was a huge fan of was the set design. The entire room was dark. The runway was the only thing lit up in the room, and it was a jigsaw puzzle of trunks. That was the entire runway. I love how they brought the trunks and that LV heritage into the actual runway itself. I thought that was genius. It was very well done, very minimal, but very visually impactful. I absolutely loved the runway and the set design. Now that we have all of that out of the way, let's take a look at the bags coming for spring-summer 2025. The show started out with a brand new bag called the LV Rider. Here we can see the LV Rider in the MM size in look 1. This is in black. And the LV Rider MM should be priced around €3,900. That is not a confirmed price. It's very preliminary and subject to change. We saw this bag later on in the show in looks 2 as well as look 6 in 2 different colors. And this bag reminds me a lot of the Givenchy Antigona Soft. It has that soft, supple, unstructured look. It looks like it has the same sort of strap or clasp on the side, as well as the triangular leather accent in the middle. So to me personally, I do think it looks a lot like that other bag as well. I would love to know what you think of that. Another bag we saw on the runway was the Greenwich, and this was shown in 3 different sizes on the runway, the Greenwich PM, MM, as well as GM. The MM and PM sizes should be produced for stores. The two GM sizes that we saw on the runway, these were in looks 32 and 47. These bags will be produced in these colorways, but in the smaller MM size. So we saw them on the runway in the GM size. In stores, we should see these in the MM size. Let's take a closer look at the Greenwich now. Here's the Greenwich PM. This is in beige. The preliminary price I have for this is €4,300. I do not have any details on these bags, such as dimensions or any other information. So we're just going to take a look at these bags on the models for a size reference. There's going to be a lot more coming in the slightly larger MM size. Here we can see it in green on the runway. This is in exotic crocodile leather. The preliminary price for this is €42,000. We also have a very interesting canvas and exotic crocodile mix. This is in khaki canvas with a noir crocodile. The price for that bag is preliminarily €20,000. And the two GM sizes that we saw on the runway are in acajou as well as noir. And again, these two colors should be produced in the smaller MM size when they get into stores. As you could see in those photos, on the runway, the Greenwich was often styled with the slim trunk layered over top of it, and the models were carrying both bags at once. We have seen the slim trunk in stores before, so we do have information on that bag, like the size. I'm not going to include all of that in this video. If you want to know the size, you can look it up on the Louis Vuitton website. The slim trunk will be coming in 4 new colors. Fuchsia, as we can see here on look 24. This should be priced around €3,400. Same price for the Vert Borneo on look 29 and Ultraviolet on look 32. There's also a special LV Sparkle slim trunk, and it looks like this has a fringe, a crystal fringe around the bag. We saw this on look 47, and again, these feature silver hardware, as you can see from the photos. The LV Sparkle slim trunk should be priced around €5,200. We also saw a lot of bags in canvas on the runway. Yes, monogram canvas on the runway, but this was not your typical monogram canvas. All of these bags featured exotic crocodile leather trim. So we have monogram canvas with exotic leather trim and a much higher price point. All of these bags will not be making their way into stores. So let's take a look at all the bags we saw on the runway, and I'll let you know which ones should make it into production and which ones, unfortunately, will not. First up, we have the Boulogne in monogram canvas with a beige crocodile leather trim. This, unfortunately, will not be produced for stores when the collection launches. We're also not getting the Diane pictured here in monogram with the crocodile trim. It looks here like it's a dark forest green. This was in look 18, and unfortunately, this one should not be produced for stores. We're getting the Speedy in monogram with a amber leather crocodile trim. This should be produced for stores. This is in the Speedy 25 size, priced around €6,100. Here we can see details of this bag as it was featured in look 20. Of course, when these bags are produced for stores, there may be differences between the versions that we saw on the runway and versions that will eventually make their way into stores. Some details like hardware, straps, accessories, they may change between the runway show and production. So just keep in mind right now, we are looking at all of the runway versions of these bags. We don't know yet what will be changing when these bags are produced for stores. We're also getting the side trunk in a mixed exotic, and this is in monogram canvas with a black crocodile trim. We should be getting this one in stores, priced around €8,400. And here we can see this in look 22. I really love this bag. I think it's a great combination of the monogram canvas with the black crocodile trim. We should also be getting a Speedy 30, two Speedy 30s in full exotic. Here we see it pictured in green as well as orange in looks 21 and look 35 respectively. The preliminary price for this is €35,000. And the exotic bag that nobody saw coming, we had an exotic Neverfull make its way down the runway. This is the Neverfull GM in Rouge Crocodile. The price for this is €49,000. Again, preliminary price, but this should be produced for stores. Of course, it is full exotic, so it's very, very limited production. There should also be the smaller Neverfull MM in black crocodile, slightly less at €35,000. Unfortunately, we did not see this bag in the runway show, but it should be produced in very limited quantities. Moving away from exotics to canvas bags, we saw a lot of canvas bags on the runway, and these are canvas bags without any exotic leather on them. They are just regular canvas bags. We saw monogram, damier bean, and damier azur on the runway. Let's take a look at which canvas bags will be making their way into stores. First up, we have a new bag called the Trunkie. This should be priced around €2,700. We saw this on the runway in look 15. This looks basically like a typical flap style bag. We do see the iconic S-lock closure, which I know a lot of people don't like. And I suppose what makes this a trunky or a trunk style bag, even though it is soft structured, is we do have the metal rivets along the side of the bag as well as the metal hardware on the corners. So I suppose that's why they're calling it a trunkie, even though it is a soft, unstructured flap style bag. I think it's interesting. I do like that we see black leather trim on this bag as opposed to the vachetta leather. I do think a lot of people will like that. I would love to know what you think of this new style called the Trunkie. Another new bag, which is actually not so new, that we saw on the runway is the Rivage. And we have seen this style bag in the past. This is a vintage inspired design. We saw the Rivage BB here in damier bean on the runway. This was in look 34. The preliminary price for this is €2,200. We should see the damier bean version in stores as well as a monogram canvas version in stores. It will look just like this, but monogram canvas. We did also see an east-west version on the runway that will not be produced. This is the Rivage BB East-West in damier bean. However, we did also see a version in epi leather that should be produced. And I thought this was a really interesting new texture for the epi leather. It's a damier checkerboard of alternating glossy and matte epi leather. I thought this was really interesting. I actually liked it a lot. This should be priced around €3,200. Speaking of the new Epi damier, we will also be getting the larger Rivage MM in the damier Epi. This should be priced around €3,500 when we see it in stores. Another new bag we saw on the runway is called the Keepy, and this was styled on the runway over the model's shoulders, but it is a belt bag or a bum bag, so we're getting a new bum bag. It looks very small, much smaller than the original bum bag that was discontinued, or even the high-rise bum bag. I think it might even be smaller than that. We saw this in the runway in 2 different canvases. We saw this in Damier Azur in look 44 and Damier Ebene in look 45. However, when this collection goes into production, the Azur version should be produced. The Damier Ebene version will not be produced, and instead we will be getting it in monogram canvas. The preliminary price is €1,650. Again, I would love to know what you think of the new Keepy. Next up, we have my personal favorite bag from this collection. It's called the LV Fan, and this is a wristlet style bag. I really love this. I think it looks so cool. We saw this on the runway in both monogram canvas as well as Damier Azur. Personally, I liked the Damier Azur version better, but that one is on the chopping block. I do not think we will be getting that one in stores, and I'm so disappointed because I thought that one looked so cool. I think we're only getting this one in stores in monogram canvas, unfortunately. This bag should be priced around €3,200. Finally, we have an old bag in a new size. We should be getting a side trunk GM in the spring. Unfortunately, I didn't see the GM size on the runway. I don't know how much bigger it will be than the MM size, but we should be getting the side trunk GM in monogram canvas with vachetta leather trim. The preliminary price is €3,500. We should also be getting the side trunk GM in cognac colored ostrich leather, so we will be getting an exotic version of the side trunk GM. The preliminary price for that one is €10,000. Moving on to the pièce de résistance for this collection. This is a trunk, and of course we didn't see the trunk on the runway, but there should be a $1 million, yes, $1 million Petite Malle Trunk. This is a full large size monogram canvas trunk. Inside the trunk are 10 custom high-end Petite Malles and one with 18 karat gold hardware. The ones that we saw on the runway that will be included in the Petite Malle trunk include the padded cage Petite Malle. This is in a black puffy leather. It looks like lambskin to me. This is priced at $15,000 if you wanted to buy it individually. We have a stone Petite Malle. I don't know if this is literal stone or another material designed to look like stone, but whatever it is, it should be priced around $12,000 individually. We have a sparkle Petite Malle. I think this looks absolutely gorgeous. I love this piece. The price for that one is also €12,000. We have a really interesting heirloom Petite Malle. This is studded with gemstones all throughout the front of the bag. The price on this is €15,000. And we have the Trio Icon canvas. I don't know if all these individual locks are working or if they're just painted on the bag. I actually can't tell from the photo. Let me know if you know. The price on that bag, if you wanted to buy it individually, is €15,000. Those are all of the bags from Spring/Summer 2025 that I have information on. I really hope this video was helpful. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. It's a really small, easy, simple thing that you can do, and it really does actually help out my channel a lot. I would love to know what you think of this collection. If you like anything, if you don't, Did you find it exciting or boring? I would love to know in the comments. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel so you'll catch future updates. I will be doing an update on this collection much closer to the launch date when we have confirmed information. I'll leave another video up here for you to watch next, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye now.